All righty. We are going to bring in one of our top producers here at West USA. Apparently, I was talking with Dustin earlier. I met him a few years ago.
Just a few.
Just a few years ago. He reminded me of the event. I'm like, man, that was a long time. Had to be like 7, 8 years ago or something like that. Well, Dustin, welcome. You are one of our top producers at West USA, and so we make it really short and simple. Well, first of all, before we get going, I want to give you about 120 seconds.
Okay.
You've been sitting there enthusiastically nodding your head during this 3-pack.
It's so hard for me not to talk.
So what are your thoughts? What are some of the things you're doing, and what was going through your brain?
You know, the buyer broker piece is huge, and just to touch on that from an agent perspective, the conversations have to happen, and the sooner you have them, the better. Even if it's a brand new buyer that you haven't developed that true relationship yet with, it's really about educating them as to not only what the document is, but really what benefits I'm going to bring to you as your agent. And when you're explaining the benefits and all the aspects of the transaction from start to finish, people get it.
Yeah.
They really do get it. It's just, but most agents are afraid to have the conversation. So the people that work with me and even some of the other folks in our office, I have no problem sitting down and having those conversations to help them overcome that hurdle with this buyer broker piece.
It's such a great point. Hopefully we'll get to your 5 points. But it's such a point because I think a lot of agents, there's this, they're nervous about it. And they're afraid to present the buyer broker agreement and ask somebody to sign it. And typically that comes from a lack of confidence.
100%.
When you've spent time figuring out how to depict and articulate the value you bring, and when you become passionate about it, when you believe in the value that you bring, it becomes the buyer broker agreement becomes an incredibly easy document. And so if you're afraid of it, you need to focus on that value proposition.
100%. I mean, and that's the piece. It's the value that you bring. And I would say there's a lot of agents that really don't know the value that they bring.
They haven't had to because the seller's always paid commissions in the past, right?
Right. So why would you have to explain that to someone? But now it's a requirement.
All right. Good stuff. All right, so 5 tips to success. I love this one. Oh, man, we talk about it all the time. But treat every day like you have an actual boss who is holding you accountable. The three of us, we always talk about that we are real estate entrepreneurs, and we kind of get into this business because we get to make our own hours. There's no one telling us what to do. There's no one looking over our shoulders. And consequently, the 3 things that hurt us is we get to make our own hours. There is no one telling us what to do, and there is no one, looking over our shoulders.
I'll tell you, there are days I get up in the morning and I just want to click on Netflix, right? And I just want to sit there and just watch the coolest trending show, but you can't. I mean, you got to get up and treat that day like if you're not at work, someone's about to blow your phone up and wonder what the heck you're doing.
Now Todd always says, something to the line. I'll let you kind of finish the thought of, would you hire you?
Yeah.
Or would you keep yourself employed? And, look at the end of the day and go back and go, okay, what would the boss say?
Right.
Yeah, the most difficult thing to do is to be true to yourself and the person that you look at in the mirror. That's the only secret sauce you need. You need whatever makes that person accomplish whatever they need to do to get to wherever they want to go. If you've never done that before, just sit down every day and just write down every time you start a different task and do something else. Just write down something that, I just did this and I just did that. Then at the end of the week, go back and look at all those little things that you did and see all the gaps of what you could have done.
Yeah, no, 100%. It's really about self-accountability. But then also back to what you said, Mike, is having a passion for what you're doing as well. Loving working with buyers, loving working with sellers, and making sure that impact each and every day is fruitful to you and your soul.
What are some of the specifics that you do on a daily basis or a weekly basis to treat this like a job?
Great question.
As opposed to just being a real estate agent and having a boss? Are there specific things that you do?
Yeah, I mean, it's really the beginning is planning, is making sure that I have a plan for each and every moment of my week. Now, that doesn't mean things are going to go sideways on me, because in real estate, things change at the drop of a hat. So it's really about getting up each morning, checking my schedule, looking at all the aspects that need to be accomplished for the day. And then if I'm also then planning for things in the week to come, I'm putting those into my calendar so that there's no misses. I'm not dropping the ball on who needs to be here this time. When is this listing going to go live? Is the photography scheduled? It's all the aspects of each and every segment of what we do as real estate agents. So
Yeah.
it's really about planning.
And to that point, if you do get distracted, that must help you get back on track.
It does. It helps me get back on track, but then it also allows me to understand where I have voids in my schedule, that now I can pepper things in as they come about. If I'm just willy-nilly just going from one task to the next and not having an actual action plan, then it's very easy to not only forget the things that need to be done, but then you can start to overbook yourself, and now you're probably letting another person down, which in our world, if you let a buyer or a seller down, forget it.
Yeah.
I mean, you're done.
Yeah, and I want to focus, though, on the accountability piece, and any of you guys can jump in, because it's easy for us to say that you've got to hold yourself accountable, but not all of us are good at that. And I mean, and it's tempting for me. I do pretty good, but there are days I don't want to do much, and there are times where I'd just rather just do this and do that and so forth. And there's just, and for those that aren't self-motivated like others, recognize it, but find that accountability elsewhere, whether it's a team, whether it's a coach, whether it's accountability partner. Because for me, I have a partner that I answer to. We are partners, and that really kind of is that accountability piece, because not only do I have my family relying on my efforts and my income, but I got his family relying on that as well, and vice versa.
Yeah, no, it's extremely important to find out what is your driving force. Some people it's money, other people it's just not wanting to let someone else down. But it's finding whatever that driving force is, and I find it very helpful to have strong partners within our industry. That if I'm just in a funk, because I want to be 100% on point all the time, but you're human. So you start to get tired, you start to get complacent. You may then find it hard to find that next motivating step. Having someone that is a good, just partner, doesn't have to be a coach, just be a friend that's in the industry that you can bounce ideas off of, or just maybe even get a little bit of extra guidance or motivation. It can go a long way.
Yeah, it's like the conversation about why. Why are you doing this? Why did you get into real estate? Why do you love what you do, or why do you hate what you do? And you go to the big why. Well, I was teaching a class once, and the goal was to come up with a definition of why. And this one lady, Kate Gentry, had the best one I've ever heard, and I talk about it all the time. She's still in real estate today, too. And it's just one of those things. She said, it's what makes you do what you know you have to do when you don't want to do it. And to me, that is the secret to everything, no matter what we've said so far today about the question number one here. It really boils down to how badly do you really want to achieve whatever it is, or, do you want to get to where you want to go, or, it's that passion. Maybe it's a storyboard. I don't know, but it helps. It's what makes you go back to work when you don't want to go to work.
All right, so I like many of us, and I finally had to snooze them again. But these real estate agent Facebook groups are just oh my god, dude, don't just stay away. But anyways, I see these. I've been like the last month. I've seen a couple of these posts where what's everybody doing for leads and da 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 da. And it ends with don't tell me it's sphere of influence, and I'm like. You are in the wrong business. like if you are dependent on outside lead sources, and for a lot of us get started, it's a great way to get started. It's a great way to get some business going, but it can't be. It's got to be simultaneously with working your sphere of influence. Because if you don't have a strategy and you're not working your sphere of influence from day one, and if you don't know how to, getting the training and the coaching on it, there is no magic blue pill, because if there was, we would all be doing it.
Absolutely. You know, the sphere of influence, and this is a fun topic for me because I talk about this probably 10, 20 times a day. And it's not just to other agents, it's to even my clients, because it's important for us to understand what did we do within our sphere that made them call us that day or reach out to us via email. And so when we're talking about sphere of influence, it's not just about the people on your social media or your neighbors. It's literally every person you get in contact with. I won't tell everybody I'm a real estate agent. I'm not a salesperson when I do it, but I in some way, shape, or form will bring up the fact that I'm a real estate agent in just normal conversation. And it's amazing when you do that, how that person now becomes part of your sphere, especially if they're engaging back with you. As simple as, oh, wow, we thought about buying a house, or I've been renting and I just really am not sure if I can afford a house. It just gives us that conversation to go. I'll then send them to my Instagram or my Facebook, and they'll see the content that I'm providing and the education that I'm providing. And it's now I've just now built my sphere of influence by just having a very simple conversation. But then you talk about your global sphere of influence, who are the people that are on your social media. They are your neighbors. And it's just giving them that education about not just real estate, but who you are. Because we are our own brands in a lot of ways, right? So we have to be able to express who we are, how we work, what we do on a daily basis without being too salesy.
Yeah. Yeah, and guys, the goal is to build a referral-based business. Right. It's really the ultimate goal.
Yeah,
and if sphere of influence is not something that you want to tackle and something that you don't believe in, I'm not sure how you make this a long-term business.
I think that's the point, the sustainability of not building relationships. And we see it all the time. If you focus on, I would say if you go on those agent forums to post, instead of posting, take that 5 minutes you're going to scroll through, doom scrolling as they call it, and call someone in your business. If you're not building a relationship off the leads that you're getting, because leads are fine. Leads come in, they go. But if you're not building relationships with those leads, you're the one who's posting in the next year when the market dips again, hey, does anyone have a good source of leads? I've tried this. They're not working. They're giving you people to talk to. You're not having good conversations with the people you're being put in front of.
It always boils down to, if you're not hitting your numbers, look in the mirror. Start with you first. Now, it doesn't always mean it's going to be you, but it usually is.
All right, so I love this one. This is a great segue, Dustin, because it's something that we focus so much on our team in our trainings, is using tools to streamline your processes so you can spend more time in your sphere of influence. And I'm going to start with this one. And so I don't know whether you have a TC or not, and so forth. But time is money, right? And you got your red time and you got your green time. And it is so easy for me to dominate my day with red time, going to all these CE classes and all these events and not having a transaction coordinator and going out and installing my own post and putting up my own sign. And then at the end of the day, you can pat yourself on the shoulder and go, man, I worked my butt off today. I was really busy. I did all of this stuff, but there's no green time in there. And so it's outsourcing what I can outsource. Right. So that's why we have a transaction coordinator. That's why we use a lister assister. That's why we use these different things so that I have more time to focus on my green time. And then there's other tools in creating those processes that just happen so that you have more time to pick up the phone, go out and network, go out and meet people and have real estate conversations.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Having a TC, in my opinion, is extremely helpful. Even if you're a new agent, once you've learned, I don't want to get on a soapbox here, but once you learn how to do the paperwork and you are versed at it, it's always great to have a TC, because that does give you more, as you say, green time to go out and drive your business versus the minutia that you can get caught in. That, while it's important, it's not going to make you more money. It's just going to give you more tasks to do. So the process is, for us especially, is yes, having a TC, but using other partners, like you said, like Lister or Sister, or a really strong photography company that you don't have to micromanage what they're doing for you on your listings. And it's also making sure you have a good sound foundation for scheduling showings with buyers, using your CRM. It's very simple to have a CRM and not input any of the data because it's extra work. If you have someone that has the ability to manage a CRM for you, because you're a big enough producer, great. Because again, it's giving you more green time. But the reality is the systems are there to be used to help you streamline your business so you can make more of an impact driving your business.
What tools are you using? What other tools, if there are additional tools, are you using to streamline your processes?
So, besides the CRM, I'm a big fan of HomeBot, and I'm partnered with a lender on that because it automatically is sending values. Once we've updated the system, it's sending values to our client base so they can then see where their equities are within their home. And it actually helps us because we get a report on a weekly basis to see who's looked at it 6 or 8 times this week. So you know what? When I'm making my calls on Monday morning, who I'm hitting first? The person that clicked that button 8 times to see their value.
But of course, you don't tell them you know that.
Of course not. Of course not. I'm just checking in. Hey, I was just thinking about you. Wanted to see how things were going today. How was your weekend? Just the things that we should be doing to humanize ourselves, but still touch base with our client base.
You have a higher probability of something happening.
100% you do. But versus sitting there doing nothing, right?
Yeah.
Nick, one of the challenge, not challenges, but one of the questions that agents, as they start generating business and becoming successful, they have to ask themselves of who's my first hire? Who am I going to bring into the fold? Who am I going to pay? And this has kind of changed for me. This has been an internal battle over the last decade. And, if you go back years in some of these webinars, I might have a different answer. But a lot of agents think, oh, man, I got to get that transaction coordinator, or I got to get this person, or I got to get that person. And West USA has solved the TC problem. We have a transaction coordinator at West USA, and so you could reach out to, I don't know who they want to reach out to, learn more. Nick at WestUSARealty.com.
Thanks, buddy.
But,
I'm your TC now. Congratulations.
But guys, for me, I love what Dustin said. It's kind of a marketing person, and it starts with. It's that CRM, the person who's managing my CRM. I can drive down the road at the end of the day, use my voice recorder on my phone, record, hey, open up this file, input this, have that person go into it, managing all those little marketing pieces, who's hitting the website, who's hitting HomeBot, who's doing that. Someone who's able to organize that and create a plan for me so when I get to the office in the morning every day, here's who I'm calling, here's my green time.
You're leveraging a CRM system. You should be getting some of the metrics out of that if they're dumping into one place. But yeah, whatever that first hire is going to be, it needs to be where your business needs the most support. And if you have a lot of people that are hitting on your softwares, your technologies, then that's where you need to, I would say, start to look at that support there.
All right, so number 4, don't procrastinate or put off what you should do today. Easier said than done. And everybody has got their own cliche line for this, their own system on how you do this. How do you do this? How do you approach this? Because it's not just enough to say, hey, stop procrastinating. I tell my kids all the time, stop procrastinating. That's not working.
Yeah, and this is probably one of the hardest things to maintain consistency with because it's very simple to push something aside that may not be urgent. Okay, so there's important and there's urgent, right? So if it's urgent, you know you need to jump on it. But if it's important, you may be able to push it off. But don't let something that is important then become urgent when you can tackle it, right? So that's my philosophy. Is if I see something that's brewing and I know that I can nip it in the bud right now and make things easier for me in the future, I'm just going to take care of it. And the biggest thing for me with this, and I've had to really reflect on this a lot, is do the things that are going to impact my business first, and then the things that are more or less going to be the low-hanging fruit that are going to be personal or that aren't going to be time sensitive, those are the things that I might be able to push off to the next day. Because in my world, and I know everybody has these urgent matters that will just pop up out of the blue, those things always come at the absolute worst time.
Yeah.
Right? So if we're not maintaining a systematic approach to our business, we're not taking the urgent matters and focusing on those first and important matters second, we are going to get caught behind at some point, and it's going to affect our business. It may affect our clients, and it's absolutely going to affect our income.
I always say when you get to the point where there's a task you don't want to do, more than likely that's the income task. And the one that you're procrastinating on, that's the income task. Because if everybody could just enjoy life and not worry about anything and just procrastinate all day long and still make money, everybody would. But unfortunately, that's the difference. God gave us 86,400 seconds in a day, and the difference between each of us is how well we use those 86,400 seconds.
Now, Todd, you're gonna laugh at this, and Dustin, I have no idea how old you are, and I know Nick's still a child. I am still a product of the Franklin Covey system of prioritizing my day. I've actually made a worksheet for my team.
Really?
I use it every day.
That's awesome.
And so, it's the A, B's, and C's.
And the
A's,
arrows, back arrows, forward arrows.
The A's are the stuff that has to get done, and then the numerical 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And so, how I approach it, I'm very selective on which ones are my A tasks of the day, and I allow myself to procrastinate throughout the day, but will not go home and will not end my day. And so my A's, they're a smaller group, but those are the things they have, and it's not always money making activities. It's also problem solving. I got an upset client, or it's something. So at the very least, that's how I just make sure that the top priorities get done every single day.
Yeah.
Procrastinating is human nature. I mean, it's built into every single one of us. And the reality of it is, if we can't accomplish our goals in 40 hours, it's human nature. Read the Michael Mayer book, right? It's human nature to put in 60 hours. Oh, I got to do it.
I'm going to start to ring the bell every time you
I
bring
say
up the
Michael Mayer.
7-level communication.
So what happened? But to the point, if you think about it, you are going to end up not going home until you got your job done, right? But wouldn't you like to go home earlier than later? I mean, so the concept of procrastination postpones the inevitable that we've got to do anyway. And then if we allow ourselves to postpone, we rob ourselves of the fun that comes with playing hard after we've worked hard.
Well, bro, I've got 2 teenagers at home. I'd rather stay at the office late. I'd rather procrastinate all of this stuff.
Yeah, but you know what, Mike? I mean, let's look back to how far back you and I started together, and then all the way back to even just today, and look at the realtor and the leader and the educator you've become. And so the reality is, you can joke about that all you want, but I can tell you over time you've mastered it.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah. All right, so we are coming up against the clock, but anyways, well, I think that's clock. Oh no, we still got a little bit of time. Ignore that clock.
Fast,
I can't. When can they start making clocks that keep actual time?
You just can't
keep
buy
talking
one
about
that
clocks,
works.
we won't have time.
All right, so Dustin, I love this one. So this is I'm torn on this.
Okay.
Because we have agents that want to hide behind social media and hide behind the easy outs and so forth, and we have to remind them, listen, your real estate license says salesperson.
Correct.
Right? You are a salesperson. So if you're afraid to pick up the phone and call people, it's going to be a challenge. But I love this. At the end of the day, though you are a salesperson, you can't be a salesperson. People want education, and that, to me, is the best way to position yourself.
Absolutely. And, with the phrase be an educator, not a salesperson, at the end of the day, yes, we are salespeople, but it's how you sell. It's if you're teaching versus telling, then the retention, not only by your client as to what their part is in this role, because they have a part in this as well. If they're a buyer or seller, they still have a part in this. It's educating them as to how this process will go as smooth as we possibly can make it, if you understand exactly what's expected of you, and I'm going to tell you what you can expect from me. So it's all about that education as to from A to Z, these are the things that are going to happen. This is how I'm going to contribute. This is how I need you to contribute to make this go as smoothly as possible. And that's where your experience and your education within your role comes in.
And it comes down to their perception of you. Nobody wants to be sold anything.
No.
And though we are sales people, nobody wants to, when they get done with a conversation, do they feel like, oh my God, I don't want to talk to him again. He's just, all he's doing is selling. Because I've found when you become the educator, their perception of you now is you are a subject matter expert. And those real estate conversations go deeper at a quicker pace.
Much quicker. There is nothing better than after I close a transaction and I get a text about 3 days later from my client going, I miss you. I haven't talked to you in 3 days, and I'm used to talking to you every single day. I miss you.
You know what I do? I call them up the next day or 2 days later, and they're like, hey, Mike, what's going on? I go, well, this is that time in your life where you're going to become very, very depressed. Life is going to seem dark because you haven't heard my voice.
Right.
And so I am just calling you to let you know that I love you and I want you to, yeah. So
It's awesome.
No offense to women or people that are going through PTSD, but Mike, just people just feel the takeaway. You're supposed to have been married at that point, right?
No, but I do. I call
keep
every
with them
client
together.
like that, and
Yeah.
just because they do. That now, because I think there's something psychological to it, because they are used to hearing from you almost on a daily
Absolutely.
basis. And I feel like psychologically there could be this sense of abandonment. They can't articulate it. They probably don't want to think about it. But there's got to be.
That's when customers come to the realization you are only about the commission,
Yeah.
not them. Because you stop talking to them at the point that you collected your compensation. Keep talking to them. They're actually expecting you to.
Right, and that's where when you have that type of experience with a client, you've done your job right.
Now, going back, I mean, we're running out of time, but going back to, there's two trains of thoughts on this. There's those agents that say you cannot pick up the phone and call a client without asking for business or asking for a referral, as opposed to agents who think that you can call up a past client or a client to just say hi and have a conversation with them.
Yeah, just call them.
Yeah.
Listen, make the calls. The calls are so easy, and we should like to talk to people. That's our job. So we should be able to pick up the phone and just say hi. How was your weekend? I heard Susie graduated from high school, or you see it on social media. Just give them a call and congratulate them for being now potentially an empty nester because she's going off to college. That's not selling anything. It's just literally making sure that they are remembering you and they know that you're thinking of them. It's very simple.
All right, Dustin, great stuff, man. This is really good stuff. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
All right, gentlemen, thank you. Use the term loosely. We'll leave you with the quote of the day. If you feel like there's something out there that you're supposed to be doing, and if you have a passion for it, then stop wishing and just do it. Appreciate everybody joining us today. Go out and sell a home.